Hello and welcome to the Cameo Show. I'm your host, Cameo, and thank you so much for being here. I know that everyone is very busy, pulled in a million different directions, and has limited time. So I appreciate the fact that you're spending your time here with the Cameo Show, me. Today we're going to jump right in and we're going to talk about procrastination. We're going to define what procrastination is, and I'm going to provide some practical tips to identify your procrastination triggers and give you a few techniques to boost your motivation to take action. Action is the antidote to procrastination. So what is procrastination? I think we all know. I think we all do it. Even if we think we don't, we totally do. Procrastination is the act of delaying or postponing tasks despite knowing that it may lead to negative consequences. Oftentimes, signs of procrastination are that we avoid doing things, we distract ourselves with something else, we feel overwhelmed, maybe even seriously have some type of anxiety around what it is that we're supposed to be doing, so we procrastinate. It gets worse, it's a spiral effect. And obviously that impacts our productivity, our stress levels, and just generally our overall well-being. Many years ago, in the very beginning of my personal development quest and all of the books that I was reading and all of the podcasts that I was listening to, one of the books that I read was by none other than Brian Tracy. It's called Eat That Frog, 21 Great Ways to Stop Procrastinating and Get More Done in Less Time. This is what it looks like if you're watching the video. Eat That Frog. And while I'm not going to dig into all 21 of those with you or even necessarily dig into the book at all, I will say that it is a wonderful book, even if you just steal the title, so that when you are feeling yourself procrastinating, and we're going to talk about what that looks like, you can simply give yourself the phrase, eat the frog, to remind you to stop procrastinating and take action. Procrastination can be triggered by various things. Fear of failure, fear of not doing it right, so perfectionism, not feeling motivated, feeling directionless and unsure, so less about not getting it right and being perfect, but more about really not knowing where to begin. Especially when you're trying something new, it can be very intimidating to know where to start. So how can I take action if I don't know where to start? Procrastination can sometimes look like researching where to begin with whatever you're trying to accomplish for like a really long period of time, putting off that start, needing to have all of the information before you can even consider beginning. What I want you to think about for yourself, because it's different for everyone, is what is it that triggers you? Is it that you don't know where to begin? Is it that you're afraid to fail? Is it that you're lazy? Just kidding. Unmotivated? Is it that you don't really have a clear goal or vision of what it is that you want or need to do? Those are all things, in addition to others, that I want you to think about. What is it for you? And then tip number 1 is when you identify those, I want you to write them down. And I want you to have an ongoing list. Not just what they are when you think about it, but then when you catch yourself, add to that list. And then you can really identify what are the triggers for me personally that keep me from taking action, that aid in my procrastination. And the other thing that I want you to write down beside what it is how you're feeling. Because how we feel can be very telling. If, for example, I don't want to start something because I don't have a clear vision of what it looks like or how to begin, and I start researching, my feeling might be hopelessness or stupid, right? I mean, I might feel stupid that I don't know where to begin, and so then therefore I don't feel motivated or don't feel inspired to take action. So write down what is the trigger and what is the feeling that's associated with that. Tip number 2, break it down into smaller steps. So you've identified what's making me not want to move forward. How am I feeling? Okay, great. And when you recognize that you're in that state, Break down what it is that you want to do or that you need to do or that you have to do into smaller steps. It can feel extremely overwhelming and totally daunting to jump headfirst into whatever it is that you need to do. But if you break it into small baby steps, like Bill Murray says on Groundhog Day, because I'm sure everyone has seen it, and if you haven't, go watch it. It's a classic. Break it into baby steps. Then it doesn't feel so overwhelming, and focus on the task in front of you instead of the entire picture. So if I'm back to that spot where I'm like, I don't even know where to begin because I don't have a clear vision of what it is that I need to do or how to start, and I feel stupid or feel hopelessness about it, I'm going to break it into smaller steps. Okay, well then what's the first thing that I need to do just to begin? I can think of like an example of running a marathon. So we use that analogy a lot in previous episodes for a multitude of different things. It's just such a great thing to use as an example. 26.2 miles is overwhelming. How am I ever going to run 26.2 miles all at one time, one event? That's crazy. I'm overwhelmed. Now I'm going to procrastinate. I don't know where to begin. Now I'm going to procrastinate. I'm going to put off that goal. I'm going to put off taking action because it's too much. And it makes me feel hopeless, and it makes me feel stupid, and it makes me feel incapable or fear that I won't be able to do it. So we're going to focus on one step at a time, and we're going to set mini deadlines. Well, the first thing that maybe I need to do to understand how to run 26.2 miles in one event is research a plan. Somebody out there likely has a plan that I can follow about how many weeks I should start before I pick my event. Somebody might say the first step you should take is pick the event and then work backwards, and that's fine too. Another small step after I've picked the event or figured out the plan is simply put my shoes on. Okay, one more thing that I've tackled to get me closer to being out the door. Okay, now I know what I need to do. I know with a small step, like I just need to put my shoes on. Okay, my plan shows me how many miles I need to run, so now I just need to get outside and run those miles. And you start small, and those miles accumulate. And then all of a sudden, 26.2 miles, as you get further into that plan, as you get further into your confidence, as you get further into getting those shoes on and getting out the door every single time you're supposed to train, it doesn't feel so daunting anymore because you've created structure around what you need to do. You've given yourself essentially, in that example, mini deadlines. Today is a deadline. I need to run 2 miles. Tomorrow's a deadline. I need to run 4 miles. This weekend, I need to run 6, whatever the case may be. So as you think about whatever task it is that you catch yourself procrastinating on, isolate how can I break that down into smaller steps that aren't so overwhelming. Our daughter sometimes feels overwhelmed by cleaning her room. It's like you look around and you go, where am I even supposed to start? And I'm like, just start by picking up the trash. Just start by getting all the dishes out of here. Just start. Tip number 3 is to use time management tools. So maybe you're nailing all the other things. You already know what your triggers are. You already know how to set small, take small actions. You're already doing that. But maybe you run out of time, right? Like we are all just barely treading water at certain points. Some of us at a lot of points in our life because we take on so much. And lucky for us, there's so much to take on, right? There's so much accessibility. There's so many exciting things that we can pursue and so many ways of connecting with people. There are so many ways to fill our time. And that can get overwhelming, right? Because, now I've got all these plates in the air and now I don't have enough time to do all of them. So now I'm going to procrastinate and not do any of them or know which one to tackle first. Which frog do I eat, right? So use time management techniques like time blocking. So you allocate specific blocks of time during your day to whatever the task is that you need so you can focus. So my day, I try to do this. So my day, keyword try, because again, I'm not like a non-procrastinator or I don't always get it right, but try. So a lot of times I break my day into segments where the morning I'm going to work on any Braun Mortgage Group, our mortgage company work. So any loans that we have going, any communication that I need to have with clients, with realtors, with our lenders and investors, and make sure that because that is my primary role, that is what we do to earn money, and everybody likes money, right? Is I need to make sure that I do that. Now, that's not always the first thing I want to do. Okay, hold up. It's not the first thing I do. The first thing I do, the first frog I eat in the morning is I get up a lot of days and go work out and do something really hard, like wrestle with other people. Talk about a frog. The premise of eating the frog and the concept of that is that once you've eaten a frog, like the rest of your day is cake, right? So once I've gone and physically put my body to the test of time, every time it feels so hard, I can walk out of there knowing that anything I need to handle the rest of the day is probably going to be cake next to wrestling with another human being and competing for dominant positions. Anyway, back to time blocking. So that happens in the morning. I eat that frog. Then I come home and I block out my time based on what I need to do, not always what I want to do, but in order to be the most productive, because the negative consequences of not doing my work for Braun Mortgage Group is that I don't make any money, right? I have to make sure that that stays a priority, be very clear on that, and block out the time to do it, and then break it into small steps to make sure that I don't get overwhelmed and waste time doing everything but what I need to do. That's actually the thing that I think I do the most. I like to make checklists, so I have like a long list of all the things that I need to do. And if I don't hold to like the time that I've allocated on my schedule for those tasks, I will do all of the unimportant things first to feel like I'm accomplishing a lot of stuff, and then finally get to like the most important thing that I didn't really want to do. So I have to time block. I have to make sure that that stays a priority and then make myself do it by breaking that into smaller steps so that I don't feel overwhelmed, and then I can move on. The other thing that you can do with regard to time management is create a schedule. There are days I dedicate only to my own personal endeavors or only to my family. We do Family Day on Sunday, and we've done that since the kids started getting a little bit older and they have their own friends and their own lives. We've made it a point that on Sundays, it's Family Day. So you can also make sure that you're being productive in the ways that you want to, not procrastinate, not put it off, not wait, and make it a priority by using time management, by blocking off days or scheduling your days and weeks in the way that you want and need to do. All right, and the last tip to help you not avoid. Remember, we already discussed this, Cameo. We're not avoiding procrastination. We're trying to get better at it. Better at not doing it. Better at doing it better. Whatever. You guys know what I mean. Number 4 is create a reward system. So I don't know why this stuck with me, but the last time we were at the vet, I used the words treat motivated to describe our dog. And now I feel like that's what I'm talking to you about. Be treat motivated. Like find ways to help you feel good about what you're doing by rewarding yourself. So you break those smaller steps down, and each time you complete them, maybe you take a small break. Each time you complete them, maybe you get up and stretch your legs. Each time you complete them, for me, it's very rewarding to cross it off my checklist. Dopamine rush for me. It's really important to celebrate each small thing that you accomplish to continue to have momentum, even if it feels unnecessary or feels ridiculous to celebrate. If it's something that feels too small to be excited about, live a little. Give yourself a pat on the back. Get up and stretch your legs. Take a break and reward yourself for sticking to the task that you set out to do by staying focused and not putting it off because of whatever your procrastination trigger is. Positive reinforcement builds a habit of being productive and feeling great about it, and it makes any task feel like less of a burden. So in conclusion, there are 4 tips here to help you get better at procrastinating, or try to not procrastinate at all. Number 1 is to identify what are your procrastination triggers and what emotion do you feel associated with that trigger. Number 2, break your tasks into smaller steps. Number 3, use time management techniques like time blocking or scheduling your days or your weeks in certain ways. And number 4, create a reward system. Reward yourself, people. Don't be afraid to pat yourself on the back for doing something great, even if it doesn't feel great. Implement these tips and observe if they really help you. Take action if they help you with your motivation, if they help you curb some of those negative feelings that you might have associated with taking action. And just remember the phrase, eat the frog. When you feel like you don't want to do something, or when you're not sure which thing you should do first, eat the frog. Do the hardest thing first. The rest of the day feels like cake. Stop procrastinating, turn off this podcast, and go get to work on something that's important to you. And thanks again for being here. It's always fun. Until next time.